Hunger had a sound, and it lived in her stomach like a slow, hollow drum that never stopped beating. On the 5th day without food, the world around her had begun to blur at the edges, colors fading into dull shades of gray as her small body leaned against the cold brick wall behind a grocery store. People passed by with bags full of warmth and comfort, their footsteps echoing like reminders of a life she no longer remembered clearly. Her hands were trembling, her lips dry and cracked, and her eyes carried the quiet resignation of someone far too young to already know what it felt like to be invisible. Before the story goes any further, take a moment to pause. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one small act can change a life forever, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel name. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. She had learned not to cry anymore. Crying took energy, and energy required food. The streets had taught her that lesson quickly. At night, she curled into herself beneath a torn jacket someone had discarded weeks earlier, listening to the city breathe around her. Sirens, distant laughter, the rumble of buses, all of it reminded her that life was happening everywhere except where she was. 5 days earlier, she had eaten half a sandwich she found in a trash bin, the bread soggy and sour, but even that felt like a memory now. Hunger had become her companion, whispering lies that no one would ever stop, no one would ever care. She had not always lived like this. Once, there had been a small apartment with peeling paint and a window that let in golden light during the afternoon. There had been a mother whose hands were gentle but tired, whose smiles grew rarer as the months passed. When the sickness came, it came fast, and when her mother was gone, the world seemed to close in without explanation. Systems failed her quietly. Papers were lost. Promises were delayed. She slipped through the cracks without anyone noticing the sound she made when she fell. That afternoon, the single dad noticed her by accident. He had been sent to the store by his young son to buy bread and milk, the simple items that marked the rhythm of their modest life. He was a man shaped by responsibility, shoulders always slightly hunched as if bracing for the next burden. His wife had passed years earlier, leaving him to raise a child while working long shifts and fighting exhaustion that settled deep into his bones. He knew what tired looked like. He knew what quiet suffering felt like. And when he saw the girl slumped against the wall, her face pale and eyes too large for her thin frame, something inside him tightened. He tried to walk past at first. Life had taught him caution. He had learned that stopping for every broken thing would leave him shattered. But as he reached the end of the alley, an image of his own son flashed in his mind, small hands clutching a toy at night, trusting the world because his father stood between him and harm. The man turned back. The girl did not look up. She did not beg. She did not reach out. She simply existed in that space, as if expecting nothing from anyone. Up close, the signs were impossible to ignore. Her clothes hung loosely on her body, sleeves too long, fabric worn thin. Dirt smudged her cheeks, but beneath it, there was a softness, a childhood that had not yet fully hardened. The man felt an ache he had not allowed himself to feel in years. He went into the store, his list forgotten, and returned with more bags than he had planned. He crouched down slowly, careful not to startle her, and placed the food within reach. The smell alone made her stomach twist painfully. She hesitated, fear battling hunger, until survival won. She ate with small, careful movements, as if afraid the food might disappear if she moved too fast. As he watched her eat, the man realized this was not a moment that could end with a sandwich and a nod. This was not a temporary problem. This was a child who had been surviving instead of living. In that moment, a decision formed, heavy and terrifying, yet clear. He was already stretched thin, already tired, already afraid of failing the one child who depended on him. But some choices arrive fully formed, demanding action before fear has time to speak. The walk home felt longer than usual. The city seemed to watch them, strangers passing by unaware that something irreversible was unfolding. The girl followed a step behind him, clutching the bag of food as if it were a lifeline. She did not ask questions. She did not smile. She simply walked, each step a leap of faith she did not yet understand. When they reached his small house, the porch light flickered on, and for the first time in days, she stepped into warmth. Inside, the house smelled like soap and clean laundry, simple comforts that made her chest ache. The man's son peeked around the corner, curiosity lighting his face, and something softened in the girl's expression. Dinner that night was quiet. There was no celebration, no grand speeches, just plates of warm food and the sound of utensils against ceramic. She ate slowly this time, savoring each bite, learning what it felt like to eat without fear. The days that followed were not easy. Trauma does not disappear with a roof and a meal. She woke up at night, startled by silence. She hid food under her pillow, afraid it might vanish. The man struggled too, balancing work, parenting, and the sudden weight of responsibility for a child he barely knew. There were moments of doubt, moments when exhaustion whispered that this was too much, that he was not enough. But healing has a quiet persistence. Little by little, routines formed. Breakfasts at the table. Homework in the evening. Laughter that arrived unexpectedly, fragile at first, then stronger. The girl began to fill out, color returning to her cheeks, her eyes brightening as trust took root. She learned what it meant to be asked how her day was and to believe the question mattered. The man learned that love does not divide, it multiplies. The past still visited her sometimes, in dreams and sudden flinches, but now there was always someone there in the morning. Someone who noticed when she went quiet. Someone who stayed. The house that once felt too small somehow expanded, filled with shared moments and second chances. What began as an impulse became a family, not perfect, not easy, but real. As the years passed, the girl grew stronger, her story no longer defined by hunger but by resilience. She learned that kindness could arrive unexpectedly, that one person's choice could rewrite an entire future. The man watched her grow with a quiet pride, knowing that on the day he turned back in that alley, he had not just saved a life. He had found a piece of his own healing too. If this story is touching your heart right now, if it's reminding you that compassion still exists in a tired world, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to channel name. Your engagement helps spread stories that remind us who we can be. Before this story ends, leave a comment sharing one small act of kindness that changed your life or someone else's. Your words might become hope for someone reading them. In the end, she no longer remembered the exact feeling of that 5th day without food, only the lesson it left behind. That even in the darkest corners, someone might see you. Someone might stop. And when they do, everything can change.